All right, so what is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome to the video. Had to make a video about this. I don't usually do content like this on this channel, but due to the nature of this, this question that I posed, and due to the nature of the responses that I received, I felt like making a video was necessary. I want to apologize just because the sun right now at my window is like super bright and it's kind of giving this weird like glow. So don't mind it too much. It is what it is. I can't control the sun. Deal with it. What's more important is the content of this video. Now, if you saw the thumbnail and if you saw the title, you probably have an idea of what this video might be about. But I do kind of want to just give a little bit of context to the overall purpose of this video. Now, earlier today, I was kind of just scrolling through social media as I do sometimes in the morning after I go to the gym, and I saw some content that looks like it went viral. Let me turn a little bit so that way the light's a little bit better. I saw some content that went viral, and pretty much what the content was about, the basketball player Steph Curry's wife, Ayesha Curry, was on a podcast, recently, essentially stating her dissatisfaction with some aspects of her marriage, which is fine. It's totally cool. She's allowed to do that. That's her prerogative. Whatever. I made a comment on Threads, just randomly. For the record, I do not use Threads. I don't like Threads. I don't like social media in general, but I specifically do not like Threads. I find it boring. It's a bit of a time suck. The conversations are more or less useless. But randomly, I went on just to kind of voice a statement. And I'm going to put the exact post that kicked all of this off on this video. I'll put it right here, actually. But as you can see, I asked the question, or I kind of made the statement. Ayesha Curry is exactly why men need more boundaries and higher standards. Much like many women will quickly divorce or break up with a man if he begins to exhibit low status traits, or if he goes broke or is excessively thirsty, men should do the exact same thing. If I were Steph Curry, I'd honestly consider this strike three, break up, and give her everything she wants. The time and freedom to be single, start a career, and get the attention of other men. So, whether or not you saw the video, I have no idea. It's been pretty viral, so I'm assuming if you clicked this video, you probably saw it, or at least you've heard of it. Basically, she was kind of stating that, and this isn't the first time she's done this. This is probably like the third or fourth podcast that I've seen of her making comments like this, where she's expressed that she's unhappy because Steph Curry makes more money than her. She's unhappy because Steph Curry gets more attention than her and she gets like no male attention. She's expressed all these concerns about things that she wished she could have done, but she hasn't been able to do, despite being married to arguably one of the most popular NBA players and arguably having tons of money to do whatever she wants, plus the time to do whatever she wants. I know some people are going to automatically respond, but she's a mom. I don't know the family. I don't care about Steph Curry. I don't care about Ayesha Curry. I don't know anything about them, but I've seen pictures of their kids. Their kids look like they're at least close to teenage age. So they're old enough where they can take care of themselves for the most part, or like be on their own for an extended period of time. Or at the very least, they can be watched by a nanny, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I know nannies can be a bit expensive. I think Steph and Ayesha Curry can afford it. So there's not many excuses as to why she can't do certain things on her own. I'll get into that as the video goes on. But I made that post on Threads, and it blew up more than I thought it would. I got a lot of hate, as you can imagine. And I'll be honest, it caught me off guard because the hate felt super unwarranted. Perhaps it's me. In that post for Threads, I don't think I said anything all that crazy. Essentially, the core of what I was stating is just that men need to have boundaries. And this is something I've been saying for years. I've been saying this for literally over a decade at this point. Men in 2025 and prior and beyond, they need to have standards. I think a lot of the problems you see in society, when it comes to just society in general, but when it comes to male and female dynamics, comes because men have no boundaries. Men allow things to happen that probably shouldn't happen, even when it bothers them. They don't voice their opinions. They don't voice their concerns. And of course, if you're not going to voice your concerns, nothing will get done. The same is true for women, by the way. And I worded it that way specifically because in my personal experience, a lot of women, when things don't go their way, or when they have certain preferences, or when their boundaries are crossed, whatever those boundaries may be, they're very quick to tell you. They will tell you, I don't like this. They'll tell you, I don't feel comfortable in this situation. They might get mad. They might be calm about it, but they will tell you when something's bothering them. I'm not saying they'll tell you everything that's bothering them, but I'm saying if it's big enough to them and if it's important enough, they will vocalize it and they will make it known. And as you may or may not know, divorces are pretty high. I think a lot of divorces are initiated by women. I'm not saying that they're initiated by women unfoundedly. Is that a word? Like, I'm not saying that the cause for divorce isn't a good cause. Like, if your dude's out there cheating on you, if your dude's doing like terrible stuff to you, divorce. Sure, I'm not one of those people that thinks you should stay in a relationship forever at the cost of yourself. Divorce. But the point that I'm making is that divorces statistically are initiated by women more than men. Should more men initiate divorces? Me personally, yeah. If the girl's doing something you don't like, initiate the divorce in the same way she's willing to initiate the divorce. That was my point. She has boundaries. She's willing to exert those boundaries to get the things she wants. You should do the same. Both people should be doing this. That was my overall point. So, like I mentioned, got a lot of hate in the comments. I started to reply to some of the comments. Obviously, I can't reply to all of them. And I realized, one, most of the people I'm replying to, they don't care. They're not going to change their viewpoints. Most of the people I tend to find on social media are not super open-minded people. They're not the kind of person that would sit there, have a good faith discussion with you, take what you say, and then like sit there with it and think about it critically and say, oh, you know what, this person might be right. Oh, you know what, I misread what this person wrote. I misinterpreted what this person meant. Let me go back and say, you know what, I'm with you on this. I agree on this point. I maybe disagree on this point, but we can communicate that and have a discussion in a, I guess, mature way. Most people on social media are not that way. Most people on social media, they see something that triggers them. They see something that makes them emotional, and they respond to it in an emotional way without any real thought or logic. Now, me personally, I saw these comments and I was thinking to myself, I could waste time commenting and replying and wasting time, with people who aren't going to change their minds. Or I can just make a YouTube video about it where I reply for my benefit, for content. And partially, I'm going to be honest, make some of these people look stupid because some of these comments are really stupid. But also extrapolate on some of my points more with the hopes that people in my community, people on my YouTube platform, people who want to watch this video could get some valuable insights and hopefully get some, I guess, maybe open their mind up to a viewpoint that they might not have considered in the past. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's the overall purpose of this video. I want to go through these comments, read them, and give more of my 2 cents on what I think about this situation. And by the way, I know, like I said, I've seen some of these comments. I know some people bring up some things about like their preferences, Ayesha and Steph. I don't know these people. I don't watch basketball. I don't watch sports in general. I don't like sports. Like, I like the sport, but I don't like watching sports. It's no purpose to me. I'm not invested. I'm not one of these people that care a lot about celebrities. I don't care what celebrity it is. I'm not invested in their lives. They do nothing for me. I want to make this super clear. I know nothing about these people, and in the grand scheme of things, I do not care. So if you're someone who's going to be in the comments saying to me, oh, well, you didn't watch this one video where she went into deeper detail, I don't care. I don't care. I'm bringing up the exact statement that she said, which was not taken out of context. It's a full, complete statement, a full, complete thought. She expressed what she expressed. I'm commenting on what she expressed, and I'm referencing things she's expressed in the past. Like I said, this is not the first time she's made comments like this. It's probably the third or fourth or fifth time she's publicly gone on a podcast to make statements like this. So, with that being said, I know that was a long introduction. Let's get into the replies that I got, and let's hop into this video. By the way, also, Threads sucks at organizing comments, so I'm probably going to miss a ton of comments. They're probably going to be out of order. Threads just is not good at like layering comments and making it clear as to when a comment was posted. So, that's going to happen. I'm just going to warn you all right now. There's going to be a lot of ad hominems. There's going to be a lot of sarcasm. Like I said, no one on social media, very few people on social media at least, actively use their brain to have a conversation. They're just posting things out of emotion. This is an example of one of those responses. This person puts, you need not worry, you're not Steph. My response to that is, I don't want to be Steph. I don't care about these basketball players. Most of these people don't have admirable lives in the grand scheme of things. I don't know much about their lives, so I can't say like if their lives are high quality. But based on what I'm seeing, I doubt their relationship is that fantastic, and I doubt his life is all that good when his wife, who he's been with since I think high school to my knowledge or college, is making statements like this. If I had a wife that was making comments like this, I would not consider that a great marriage. I'd personally want to say something about it, but I would do it in private. I wouldn't do it in public. So this girl saying, you're not Steph, I don't want to be Steph. Why would I want to be Steph? That's why I'm making this comment, because I don't want to be Steph, and I'm warning other men to not be like Steph. So it's a stupid comment, first of all. All right, so next one. This person put, all you men mad at her, but her husband isn't. Why? Because these are conversations she and him have had and worked through. She's just letting the world know how difficult it is for a woman to give up her dreams for love. Okay, so I got a few things to say for this. Why are you men mad at her? I'm not mad. I don't care. It doesn't make me a difference. My post was made as a warning to other dudes, because I've known dudes, and I've been that dude myself, who you have a girlfriend or you have someone that you like, and you let them do things because you don't want to lose them. But by you doing that, you become a pushover and you live an unhappy life. I'm saying this from personal experience, not right currently, but in the past, I've made that mistake myself. And I've seen many dudes make that mistake as well. I've seen tons of dudes who are in relationships. I know dudes like this currently who are in relationships that they do not want to be in, where their girlfriend does and says stuff that they do not like them to say. And instead of them just manning up and saying, look, stop saying this. I will not be with you if you continue to act or say these things. Instead of them doing that, the men, they allow the girls to keep doing that. She can't read your mind, bro. She doesn't know unless you bring it up. And they go through these long, unhappy relationships because they're unwilling to vocalize their concerns and set boundaries. And ultimately, I've seen this happen. Ultimately, what it does is it hurts the man and it hurts the woman. Why? Because when he doesn't express his boundaries, he kind of subconsciously takes it out on her by doing other stuff behind her back. This is how dudes cheat. A lot of dudes cheat because they don't want to express boundaries, or they want to express concerns, or they don't want to lose the girl. So they do stuff behind the girl's back. And inevitably she finds out, she's hurt, she's devastated, she has a negative viewpoint of men that she carries into the next relationship. It's not a good thing to do. It's better to just set boundaries and either upfront say, I do like this, I don't like this, I will do this, I won't do that. And if you're not cool with it, we can split up right now and save each other the time. You can go on your way and I can go on my way and find someone who fits what I'm looking for. You can find someone who fits what you're looking for. It's better to do that upfront than to waste time over a year, 3 years, 10 years, hoping that the other person will catch on. Does that make sense? So this is why I bring this up. No one's mad at her. I do not care about her. She can do what she wants. If her husband's cool with it, then he's cool with it. But there's plenty of dudes who would not be cool with it. And that's the point that I'm bringing up. If he's cool with it and he's expressed boundaries and he said to her, hey, I don't care if you go on these podcasts. Cool. She can do it then. I don't know them. That's fine. It's not my point. That's not what I said. I'm just saying, if you have a wife that's going on public podcasts, consistently making you look bad, it's probably in your best interest to say something. And it's probably in your best interest to say it early enough so it doesn't destroy your reputation. Does that make sense? Second part. Because these are conversations she and him had and worked through. You don't know this. You just don't know this. Much in the same way I don't know this because I don't know them. You don't know this because you don't know them. Don't assume stuff. She's just letting the world know how difficult it is for a woman to give up her dreams for love. I want to make a point about this because I've seen tons of people on social media do this whole man and woman thing. We act as if women sacrifice the world to be in a relationship. We act as if men don't sacrifice stuff to be in a relationship. And I hate that viewpoint so much because it's so childish and so juvenile and just so low IQ. Both parties, when you enter into any agreement, whether it's a business agreement, just a general platonic agreement, or a relationship-based agreement, both parties or all parties usually give up something to make it work. Does that make sense? When you start a business with somebody, you probably do it 50-50 or you have certain shares. It's probably not you doing all the work and getting nothing out of it, hopefully, unless you're a fool. And even then, you probably wouldn't agree to it unless maybe the work is what satisfied you. Does that make sense? When you go into a relationship, many men give up things that they want too. No one cares about how difficult it is for you. It's difficult for everybody. That's the purpose. That's the point. It's difficult, but we do it anyway. So I don't like when people go online and they say, she's just vocalizing how hard it is. We know how hard it is. We get it. It's hard for us too. We don't sit there and talk about it all day though. That doesn't solve anyone's problems. Sitting there talking about how difficult things is not a solution to the difficult things. Doing something about the difficult things is the only solution. Less talking, more doing. And to be honest, I think one of the things that made, there was a bunch of comments similar to this. One of the things I hate about comments like this is that, to me personally, it comes off super selfish. I know I'm going to get ahead of myself. I said to someone else, Ayesha Curry, to my understanding, was dating this guy since high school. He got into the NBA, which is already in itself winning the lottery. Like, getting into the NBA for him takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of hard work. It's very rare to do. It's very difficult to do. Ayesha Curry did nothing to get him into the NBA, as far as I know. She didn't pull any strings. She didn't make any deals. She didn't train him. She wasn't on the courts. She never played the game. She didn't do much besides be there, which is fine. The support in itself is valuable. I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm not dismissing that. But my point is, he did the hardest part. She was just there. He makes millions of dollars. Again, she didn't do the hardest part. She was just there. She has access to the millions because of the effort and hard work he put into it. For you to have excess money and for you to win the jackpot, basically, literally, to win the lottery, essentially, literally, and complain about your situation is so selfish when there's tons of people in society who work 20 million times harder than you, who will never have even a fraction of the results that you have. That is my genuine opinion to this. I hate when I see people online or in general complain about the situation they're in when their situation is exponentially better than everyone who is far more competent and far more hardworking than they are, because those people would trade in a heartbeat. So even for her, and this is kind of what like bothered me when I was seeing like the snippets of the interviews, to sit there and say, oh, I'm so dissatisfied that my career isn't the way it is. Go have a career. No one's stopping you. You have infinite money. Most people can't have a good career because they're too busy working 2 or 3 jobs to pay the bills because they didn't win the jackpot. They didn't win the lottery. They didn't have a spouse that just made millions of dollars. You do. You had the opportunity to do it. You didn't actually give up anything. And yet you're complaining. About what? I don't understand it. It's frustrating to hear. Oh, I don't get male attention. Okay, most dudes, when they get married, they don't get female attention. Shut up. This is marriage. Get over it. If you want to get male attention, go talk to men. But I don't think your husband would like that. So maybe you don't want, like, it doesn't make sense. It's selfish. Go be with your kids. Go be with your husband. Live your life. Live a happy ever after. You have everything that most people could ever want, and you're complaining. Stop complaining. So I'm going to keep going. There's some people that said, one guy said, be quiet, simp. I think that's funny. I don't know if that's to me or if that's to somebody else. I think it actually looks like it's somebody else. Someone put, this shouldn't have been a public conversation. It makes her look bad. I agree. This should be a private conversation that stays in private. If it was a private conversation, this would be no big deal. I wouldn't be talking about it. And I don't know Steph Curry. I would like to think he would prefer that. It makes her look bad from a married man's perspective. 100% agree. I give you everything, but it's not enough. You have the audacity to say that men don't holler at you. No wife would ever say that she wants another man to acknowledge her. It comes off wrong. And this is a good point, and I agree with what he said. I want to bring this up because this was another big part of my overall point. If you flip the roles, and I say this a lot when it comes to relationship stuff, if you flip the roles, we can easily see whether or not the thought behind it is a good thought or a bad thought. What I mean by this is, just imagine Steph Curry one day said, you know what, this marriage, I've been in here, I've known her since high school. She's a big career woman. I don't get female attention, bro. I don't get that female attention. Like when I was in high school balling, trying to make it into the NBA and I couldn't get into the NBA, I got lots of female attention. Girls were all over me. I don't get that female attention anymore. I wish I had it. Imagine if he said that on like a public podcast. People would be up in arms. People would think he's the worst piece of shit in the world. When she does it, it's completely fine. Why? Because dudes don't set boundaries. Dudes should collectively say, look, we're not even going to tolerate people saying that stuff. If you want to say it, that's fine. You're allowed to say it. It's America. You're entitled to say what you want to say. But you're going to get disrespected for saying that. Much in the same way if a dude said that, he'd get disrespected. And rightfully so. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a good thing. But we got to keep that same energy for both parties. We can't let girls say something that we'd demonize men for saying. That's my point. It makes her look terrible, in my personal opinion. And that same person, did you think her husband hasn't had this conversation? This is just you assuming things. You don't know anything. You don't know if they had this conversation. A lot of dudes, believe it or not, and for anyone that's watching that might not be a guy, and I'm not trying to speak for all men. I don't know all men. I'm just saying from my anecdotal experience, I've known plenty of men who this is the case for, who have things that in private with their boys they'll say, but they never say it to their wives. They kind of let it go. They let it pass. I'm saying dudes should not do that. For any woman that's watching this, that is the case. A lot of dudes will just not vocalize concerns with things. Partially is because we have seen it happen where if we vocalize our concerns with stuff, sorry about the light, by the way, it's like getting real bright. We've seen situations where, and we may have been in situations where when we vocalize our concerns, people get disappointed in us. People get upset. People raise their voice. People get mad. And we're not allowed to give back that same energy. We're not allowed to raise our voice back. We're not allowed to be angry back. So it puts you in a box where you have nothing to do. It's like, well, I just sit here and I either get frustrated until I blow up because this person's yelling at me and telling me what I should be doing, but I'm not allowed to give my 2 cents or my perspective. It's a bit unfair, I think we'd all agree. So the idea that they've had this conversation, this is an assumption. This doesn't mean it actually happened. They probably haven't had this conversation. That'd be my guess, but who knows? So there's a lot of these actually, so I might not get through all of them just because I don't want this video to be too long. It's already pretty long as it is, because this isn't the first time I've done this. Whenever I've made a comment that's like pro men in any way, not even like pro women, pro man, like putting down women, but just like at least putting men on the same equal footing, which is, I thought, is what we wanted. We wanted equality. I've done posts like that in the past. Whenever that happens, there's always women who try to shame you, and they always say things like, oh, you're just hating. Oh, you're just mad. And it's like, no one's mad. No one's hating. I'm just making a statement. I'm making an observation. I'm using my brain to make an observation, which you can dispute and we can have this discussion. But instead of you doing that, you immediately resort to just shaming tactics, which is probably one of the most childish and juvenile things that anyone can do. And it definitely shows just low IQ behavior and low IQ thinking. But I expect nothing less from social media. I expect nothing less from people who are perpetually online. So this person put, Ayesha Curry has black men malfunctioning and I love it. No one's malfunctioning. No one cares. Like, clearly the men that don't look at Ayesha Curry don't care because they're not paying attention to her. That was why she complained, because they're not looking at her. So no men are complaining about Ayesha Curry doing what she wants to do. We're more concerned for Steph Curry. We don't care about Ayesha Curry. She's nobody. Literally, she's nobody. She doesn't have a career. That's what she was complaining about, that she didn't get to make her own career. So in her eyes, and in our eyes, she's nobody. Steph Curry is who we care about. He's the famous one. He's the popular one. He's the one getting the attention. He's the one we're trying to collectively, even though we don't know him, and this is unsolicited, I get it, but collectively, we're looking out for Steph Curry and people like Steph Curry. I think really people like Steph Curry is more what I'm aiming for. Steph Curry can do whatever he wants. I don't care. Somebody put, men commenting on women's stuff. I'm convinced all y'all men commenting want to be in a relationship with Steph. And by the way, she just said out loud what a lot of women think. So first of all, I was not commenting on Ayesha Curry stuff. I was commenting on her public podcast, which was about their relationship. I was talking about both of them technically, but the premise of my post was to men about what men should do if they're in a situation like Steph Curry. I don't care about Ayesha Curry. She's of no concern. She's a nobody by her standards. So we're not commenting on her stuff. We're commenting for Steph Curry and for other men like Steph Curry. First of all, I'm convinced y'all men want to be in a relationship with Steph. No one wants to be in a relationship with Steph. Why the shaming tactics? This is what I mean. It just resorts to shaming. Instead of just having a good discussion, and instead of just being open-minded and just asking questions and trying to like get on the same page and really figure out what I'm trying to argue, it goes straight to shaming. And she's saying out loud what a lot of women think. Cool. No one's disagreeing. No one's hating. She's allowed to say it. She's allowed to make her points. My point was men should be allowed to do it too. That was the whole point. So I mean, and this has only been like, we're only like 2 or 3 posts in, but this is a trend. And this is kind of why I wanted to make this video, because it's so fascinating to me. My only point was that men should be allowed to say the same things that women are saying and that women have been saying, because men feel this way too, but they don't say it. And it makes them unhappy. Why be unhappy when you can be happy? But the happiness comes after being honest and just saying the uncomfortable things that needs to be said. And I get it, because when as a dude, when you try to say stuff like this is what you get faced with. A bunch of people in your comments or a bunch of people in real life telling you what you shouldn't be saying. She said that we're commenting on women's stuff, which we weren't, or which I wasn't. But I often see posts where men just express a concern to other men and women find a way to jump in and make it a women's issue. So it's funny how that works. Like, we're not talking about women at all. We're talking about men. And yet she made it about women. I don't know. It's interesting stuff. Someone else, this is the problem. Women can't be honest with y'all at all. They are always honest. They're over honest, I think. There's a lot of people who overshare the things that they want. Ayesha's been saying this for like 4 years now. She's been honest for quite a while. Otherwise, we wouldn't be making these posts. We wouldn't be making comments like this. She's been honest, and it's been fine. Jada Pinkett Smith, who I bring her up because she was on, she had Ayesha Curry on her podcast years ago, and Jada Pinkett Smith is also infamous for saying things and vocalizing her concerns. But when Will Smith obviously doesn't agree with what she's saying, even if he doesn't express it, because he doesn't set boundaries, which is the point of my post, when he expresses it, it comes off bad. And then eventually he blows up and maybe he slaps somebody at a public event that he shouldn't be slapping, and makes him look even sillier, makes him look goofier, and it destroys his reputation. Perhaps, just my 2 cents, earlier in the relationship, had he spoken up and said, I do not want you doing this, and if you continue to do this, I will leave. Had he made that clear, perhaps, hypothetically speaking, he wouldn't be in the situation he currently is, which is having a terrible reputation, which he worked hard for, it looks like at least. He wouldn't be in a situation where his reputation is effectively shit. I think we can all agree, most of us watching here, maybe not some of the people who, if you're like one of the women on this post, maybe you wouldn't agree, but I think a lot of dudes can agree. Will Smith is not the same dude he used to be. No one looks at Will Smith the same way now that they used to in the past. Will Smith had status. Will Smith was admirable. Will Smith was the funny dude. Will Smith was the guy you wanted to be like. Will Smith was the clean rapper who had a great reputation, who had a great relationship and a great family. He's not that guy anymore. He's just not that guy anymore. And it's difficult for him to get to that point. His reputation is destroyed. And to be honest, I don't know if he'll be able to get it back, which is sad. It's sad. Decades of a good legacy, decades of a great reputation down the drain. And why? Because he married someone who did not have his best interest in mind, and he had he didn't set boundaries, and it led to him having a bad reputation. Just my 2 cents. And that was the point. If you're a dude watching this, do you want to build something only to have it crumble because you didn't set boundaries on the front end? Do you want to live your entire life miserable and unhappy? If that's the case, then be like Steph Curry. Be like Will Smith. If not, then do something about it. Set boundaries now. Just my 2 cents. So this is one I didn't see this one. I'm just seeing it now, but this is an interesting post. I usually don't agree with the red pill rhetoric. First of all, this isn't red pill. I'm not red pill. I'm just saying stuff that should be common sense. But let's carry on. I don't agree with the red pill rhetoric, but in this instance, I do. It's a spit in the face to many women that are just looking for a decent guy and can't find one. That was my point earlier. I said this earlier. For you to be a woman who's married to somebody and win the jackpot and complain, spits in the face, and looks super selfish to all the women out there who work hard, harder than you do, and do not ever get close to where you are in life. I'd find that extremely disrespectful if I was a woman. This is pro men and women, but all of the women saw me propping up men and assumed that me propping up men means I have to put them down. And that wasn't the case. It was me putting people on the same level, like elevating the men to the level of the women. That was it. That was all I'm suggesting. But the pushback is hilarious to me. It's mind-blowing. God bless this girl with the closest thing to a perfect man, and she's worrying about losers showing her some attention in her DMs. And this is true. I used to go like on dates a lot when I was younger, before I got married. And most girls will all look for the same things. And this is not red pill stuff. This is just like stuff that you can find in observation. I think any dude that's ever tried to date knows this as a fact. Most girls will admit this themselves. This isn't like anything mystical or crazy. Most girls want a guy that's taller than them. Usually they say about 5'10" and up. Most girls will probably just say 6 feet and up. Most girls want a guy who makes more money than them. Most guys want a guy who looks at least relatively attractive and who's in at least relatively good shape. That's fine. Those are preferences. That's their preferences. I think they're fine preferences, to be honest. The height thing you can't control as a guy, but everything else, I don't think that's too much to ask for, to be in decent shape and to have a decent amount of money. I think when girls say things like millionaire, they're a little bit extreme. I don't think they really mean it. I think they're just saying stuff because they heard other people say it. But overall, I think those are fair standards. She has all those things. Like most dudes, we understand most guys will never get to that level. Most dudes aren't 6 feet tall. Most dudes are barely 5'10" or 5'9". Most dudes aren't going to have lots of money. Most dudes will never be millionaires. Most dudes won't even get 6 figures. They won't come close. Most dudes aren't in great shape. I think 60% of dudes in America are overweight. And like out of the 60%, like 50% are obese. Most dudes aren't in great shape. So you have all those things, Miss Ayesha Curry. You have a dude who's like in the NBA, which by default means he's probably really tall. Probably above the tall. Like there's people who are tall. I have friends who are like 6'2", 6'3". I'm 6 feet. There's people who are taller than average. And there are people who are like tall, like taller than tall. 6'4", 6'5", 6'8", 7 feet. NBA is for like the tall people. So you got like a tall dude who's in good shape. He's an athlete, literally a professional athlete who has millions of dollars and he has a status. What more could you want? But yet you're complaining because men don't give you attention. You want attention from the other men in the world who don't come close to Steph Curry. Stop. It's just, you look goofy. Someone put, are you married? Yes, I am. Happily. We don't have these issues because I set boundaries and she sets boundaries. And that's perfectly fine. We both set boundaries and that's why the relationship is so good. Most people don't do that. Most people live by the happy wife, happy life standard and they just put aside the man and the man becomes happy. Then he does stuff behind the girl's back. We've already been through this. We don't want those problems. It's fine to set boundaries. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Somebody put, you only saw one clip of the interview and it shows Steph ain't leaving her. She loved that man. It's a clear day if you actually watch the entire interview. First of all, I said this earlier. A lot of dudes will not leave a marriage. I've known tons of dudes. I know this is anecdotal, but you can just extrapolate this. This is true of like most guys. Most dudes will put up with a lot in a relationship. Most dudes behind closed doors will express how much they do not like about their girlfriend or their wife. Most dudes will express an extreme amount of unhappiness behind closed doors, and they'll never tell their girlfriend or wife. They'll never tell anybody besides like their close circle of friends, usually all dudes. But the problem is that because they have this pent up like animosity or needs not being met, they do stuff behind the girl's back that ultimately makes them look worse. And not only does it make them look worse, it makes all dudes look worse because girls start to think, oh, all dudes are like this. All dudes cheat. No, not all dudes cheat. You see a lot of dudes that do cheat because when the dudes probably express things about maybe their sexual preferences that you don't like, you're not willing to listen to them. And I'm not saying this is true of all girls, but I'm just saying this is just a hypothetical. And when they express it, when they're not listened to, they figure, well, me talking's not working out. Let me just do stuff behind her back. She'll never catch me. Or if she does, screw it. And you catch them. And you think, oh, all men are like this. No, you don't listen. This is you. I'm not saying it's true of Owen. I want to make this clear. I know some dudes do stuff and it's stupid and they shouldn't be doing it. And I'm not saying this is an excuse to cheat. I don't think it is. But I'm just making a point that she's trying to claim that if he's happy, he would stay in the relationship. But lots of dudes are in relationships they're not happy with. And there's plenty of women who are in relationships they're not happy with. People sometimes don't leave relationships despite not being happy. But, like I keep mentioning, and I mentioned in the very post that started this whole thing off, more women are inclined to leave and set boundaries than men. I'm just saying, men should do it too. If Steph Curry's not happy, there's a good chance he might not be happy, but he doesn't want to leave a 15-year relationship because it's hard to do, I imagine. You got kids, you got a house together, you got a lot of stuff tied together. Why would you want to? It's hard to just give all that up. It's hard to sacrifice that. The public outcry would look terrible. Oh, Steph Curry's leaving his wife. What a terrible person. If she did it, it wouldn't be a problem. If he did it, he'd be a monster. A lot of things that would keep you from making that decision, even if he wanted to do it. And that's my point. So for you to sit there and say, if you were happy, he would stay. And if he wasn't happy, he'd leave. That's a female privilege. That's something girls can do. Guys can't do it as easily. They can do it technically. And they should do it. That's my point. But things prevent them from doing it as easily. We don't get the same support that a lot of women would get, which is why we don't do it. But we should. And she brings up, like, if you watch the entire interview, I've seen other interviews with her saying the exact same thing, or at least very similar sentiments. I don't need to watch Call Her Daddy for like an hour. Call Her Daddy is the most brain rot podcast ever. I used to listen to it back in the day, and they used to be funny originally, but then it just kind of went downhill. Not to go on a tangent about Call Her Daddy. If you're on Call Her Daddy, you're probably not talking about anything that's worth talking about. It's probably going to be just stupid relationship stuff that's super pro women and super anti men, which is why I don't need to watch the entire podcast, because the context of the podcast itself speaks for the quality of the content on that particular episode. I don't need to watch it. The clip was in context. That's all. So this guy, I'm not going to read too many more because this video is already pretty long, but this guy kind of said something that I just expressed. This guy put, easily said when you're not worth $500 million. If he divorces her, she then writes the books, she does all the trash talk circuits, and the kids will suffer. She'll probably waits till the end of his career, pressures ease up, and then she can have a civil divorce out of the spotlight and doesn't have to worry about the media asking after it this guy's grammar though. I don't know if he's trying to say this grammar is crazy. Do what Mike did, cheaper to keep her. She F's who she wants and he F's who he wants. So this is kind of what I mean. It's a lot of risk. It's risky to do this at this point. just to make it clear, this post is not about Steph Curry specifically. It's about just dudes in general who don't set boundaries in relationships. I don't know Steph Curry. I want to make this clear. I do not know him. I don't care about him. What he chooses to do behind closed doors is his personal business. I'm just talking to the dudes out there who are in similar situations to this, where they're in unhappy relationships and they are afraid to set boundaries because they're afraid of what the outcome might be, which is usually just her leaving. To which I'm saying, if she leaves, she leaves. You find someone better. Don't have that scarcity mindset. But I think the relationship would be better if you set boundaries and just talked more about what you need, much in the same way she would do it to you. That's it. But yeah, in his position, it would be a very difficult decision, which is what I already expressed earlier. There's a lot that would just go wrong with a divorce. So it's probably a lot simpler just for him to sit there behind closed doors, be unhappy about it, but have her just talk trash on podcasts. It's probably easier to just let her do that than to have her talk trash more aggressively with books and slander your reputation forever. The Will Smith effect. Somebody put, "You're not made for marriage with your thinking." I'm not made for marriage, I guess, even though I'm married. I guarantee the person who wrote that though is not married. This will be the last one. And I just wanted to make this, actually there's another one I wanted to put up, but this is probably like the second to last one. Someone wrote, "Good thing you aren't Steph Curry, of course. The traditional comeback, just say you're not Steph Curry as if we want to be Steph Curry. No one does." So I replied, "I agree. That'd be a nightmare. It'd be almost as bad as being like Will Smith. We've already gone through the Will Smith thing with his damaged reputation." This person replies, Will Smith has an open marriage. He's fine. Y'all just hate that Jada's getting action that seems way more interesting and controversial publicly that will. But they all have the freedom to anything. Do they have the freedom to anything? Yes. It's not about her getting action. That's actually not important at all. No one cares. Jada Smith is not relevant. She hasn't been like in a movie in like decades. She's not popping. No one cares about her. That's not the issue. The issue is that clearly based on the way Will Smith acts, it's clear this is not what he wants. This is not what he signed up for. But he tolerates it. He puts up with it. And if he chooses to do that, that's perfectly fine. If he made an agreement with her, he can do that. That's not the point. The point is how it overall affects you as a guy in the long term. I went over this already, so I don't want to like get back into it and ramble on about it. But his reputation is destroyed. He can't. It's going to be really hard for him to go back from where he is now, decades down the drain, because of your spouse doing stupid stuff and making you look bad at no cost to her, but 1,000,000% cost to you. That's a horrible deal. And I would hope for anyone watching, every girl watching, woman watching, whatever, that if the roles were reversed, you'd feel the exact same way. If your dude was saying stuff about you on public podcasts, making you look stupid and goofy, destroying your reputation that you worked hard to build, if you had a career and you worked in your career for say 30 or 40 years, and he's saying stuff that makes you look bad and costs you opportunities within that career, and maybe takes back all the hard work you put into that career, I would hope you would feel the exact same way. And I'm sure you would. So why don't you give that same energy for other people? Unless you don't care about equality like you claim, or unless you don't care about everyone being on equal terms, which is probably the case. You just want to feel special. That's fine. You can feel special. But we need to be genuine and realistic about the way we move in the world if we want to be treated as equal individuals. I guess that's kind of my point. So I replied, "Please don't be disingenuous. Will Smith has an open marriage because he lacks boundaries and wants to please Jada. He's talked about this in his books, and his behaviors and attitudes, like him slapping somebody at a public event, suggests it, and clearly it bothers him." When they did the Red Table Talk, I remember watching that interview, and I watched the whole clip. I watched not all the entire interview because it's boring, but I watched like 20 minutes of it, so there's nothing out of context. She brought up the whole like entanglement thing. This is like almost a decade ago at this point. And he like was crying, like his eyes were getting red. You can tell that it bothered him. Like I think any human being can understand that tears is probably a sign of sadness. If I have to explain this to you as a grown adult, you probably aren't ready for these like conversations. You probably need to go back to grade school or something. I don't know. You probably need some kind of therapy if you don't understand that tears probably in general equals sadness. He started tearing up. He clearly does not like these things. But what does she do? Not only does she do it, not only does she publicly do it, she made a whole podcast about it and continued to double down on it on multiple podcasts. I'm just saying, not a good situation to be in. To continue my post, I put, That's my point. If a man asks his girl to be polygamous, and many men may want this, we don't do it if the girl expresses boundaries, because we respect her over our own biological urges. This is just the truth. I'm not saying it's true of all guys, but there's many dudes who prefer, if they can get away with it, and if it didn't cost so much, if there weren't like other like stupid factors, would probably have multiple girlfriends or multiple wives. But they don't do it. Partially is because it's probably difficult to do. But another part of it is because a lot of women just don't want dudes to do that. And we respect the girls enough to not do it. Those of us who do not go out and cheat and don't break boundaries. We respect the girl enough, our wives, our girlfriends, whoever, to not do it. It's the same thing. When you have a marriage or a relationship, there are two people coming together with their own ideals and their own rules. And the whole thing about relationships and marriages is you figuring out what you're willing to keep and what you're willing to sacrifice. That's it. But the problem is that in a lot of relationships nowadays, just being realistic, this is not like a red pill thing. There are way more women who are willing to give up nothing. And there are a lot more dudes who are willing to sacrifice everything. And I'm saying, if you're a dude, stop doing that. Just find a girl. Like, there are plenty of girls who are willing to meet you 50-50 or willing to meet you where you are. If you meet girls who are just like, no, you need to bring everything and I don't want to give anything, don't date her. And the more dudes do this, the more that pattern gets reinforced in society and the more women will stop doing that. If 99% of the dudes in society had hardcore boundaries, realistic boundaries, but hardcore boundaries that they were unwilling to break, no matter what, like no sex, like nothing. If you're just unwilling to break it, society would change in a heartbeat. I guarantee it. Because the behaviors wouldn't be reinforced. But the behaviors are reinforced because there's so many dudes who break their boundaries. A lot of girls will say things to men, and the reason why it keeps happening is because men just don't say anything. I've seen girls hit men in public, and what happens? No one cares. The men don't say anything about it. Of course, they don't hit the girls back, which is fine. I'm not saying they should, but the men say nothing about it. The other women around them don't say anything about it. People in public don't say anything about it. And so what happens? The behavior is reinforced. We've effectively said to this person, this girl that hit a man, hitting men's okay because no one will stop me. There's no punishment. Therefore, why would I not do it? And so what do? They do it. It's going to keep happening until people say stuff. So hopefully that point makes sense. To finish the post, all I'm suggesting is girls keep that same energy for men, and men should reciprocate accordingly. But yeah, this person replied, and this was kind of a stupid reply. I don't think I responded to it yet. She puts, "You're telling me men respect women over their own urges?" Yes. Many men do. Yes. People do. I'm sure women do it too. I'm sure there are plenty of women who probably want to sleep with a lot of dudes, but they get into a marriage and they don't do it because they respect the man enough to not do it. It's a human thing. This isn't a man and woman thing. People make it gendered. It's not gendered. It's just humans. People do it all the time. There's plenty of things like men want to do that they stop doing because they're married. It's like when you have kids. I don't have kids, but I imagine if you had kids, you probably might want to go out with your boys drinking all day. You probably want to do stuff and not take care of your kids, but you have a responsibility and a duty to do it. Therefore, you do it. Out of respect for the family and out of respect for the kids, you do it, even if you don't want to do it. None of us want to go to work every day. Most of us probably, if we could, would just like to get a paycheck and stay at home and watch TV or play video games or go hang out with friends. You know why we don't do it? Because we have to do it. Like, we have to go to work. We have responsibilities and we have duties that we have to do that exceed our biological urges. Most of us are intrinsically lazy. Humans are intrinsically lazy. We can't be lazy because we got stuff to do. Does that make sense? So this whole notion of man respecting women over their own urges, this is just someone who has had a bad relationship with men, probably because they have a bad relationship with themselves, and they just take it out on men. It's stupid, brain dead mindset. All these men cheating, sleeping with kids worldwide. What? Like I said, this is someone who probably has had the worst experiences with men because she doesn't respect herself. So she attracts the worst possible people into her life. And it creates kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, oh, I don't see myself positively. Therefore, I attract men who don't see me positively. And because I'm attracting these men, all of the people I interact with are just people that don't treat me respectfully. But if you flipped it, and if she had more respect for herself, she'd find more dudes that have respect for her. And she wouldn't meet any of these dudes that do these negative things. All the dudes in her circle would be positive people, but she's not positive, so she attracts negativity. This is how the world works. And then she says, said human being automatically possesses the ability to respect women over their urges. I don't know what she means by that, but the answer would probably be yes, all people can respect other people above their urges. I just explained that. We do that all the time. We do that in society literally every single day. If you're a dude watching this, I'm sure there's been times where someone said something to you and your first thought might be, I would crack this guy in the head. But you don't do it because there's other things in society that exceed your biological urge, which might be to crack a dude in the head. I'm not saying people should be violent. I'm just saying, I'm sure if you're a dude, and probably if you're a girl, you've probably had the urge to like yell at somebody or physically harm somebody, and you just don't do it because laws and society and stigmas prevent you from doing it. There's a repercussion to it, which is why you don't do it. So, but yeah, that's kind of my, I'll leave it at that. I think I've done plenty of posts for you to get the point that I'm trying to make. Like I said, if you're in a relationship, have boundaries. Whether you're a man or a woman, have boundaries. I don't think in 2025, I think people not having boundaries and people not respecting each other, men and women, is the reason why society is one of the main reasons why society is in such disarray now. I think if we lived in a society where more people just respected each other, we'd be far better off. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you want to give me some hate down below. I'll happily make another video and make content out of you as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, I'll see you next one. Peace out. Bye.